The marble floors of the Ashford estate gleamed under the morning sun, reflecting the cold perfection that Marcus Ashford demanded in every corner of his life. But today, that perfection was shattered by one glaring absence. His head maid, Elena Rivera, was late. Again. Marcus stood in his study, his jaw clenched as he checked his platinum watch for the third time in 5 minutes. 8:47 a.m. She was supposed to be here at 8 a.m. sharp, just like every other day for the past 8 years. His fingers drummed against the mahogany desk, each tap echoing his growing irritation. Mr. Ashford? His assistant, Gregory, appeared at the doorway, tablet in hand. Your 9 a.m. conference call with the Tokyo investors is ready. Should I? Where is Elena? Marcus interrupted, his voice sharp enough to cut glass. Gregory shifted uncomfortably. I'm not sure, sir. She hasn't arrived yet. Call her. Now. As Gregory hurried away, Marcus turned to face the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking his estate. 10 acres of manicured gardens, Olympic-sized pool, and a mansion worth $43 million. Everything in his world operated like clockwork, except apparently his staff. His phone buzzed. A text from his ex-wife Vivian. Don't forget Sophia's ballet recital tonight. Try to actually show up this time. Marcus deleted the message without responding. Vivian always knew exactly how to twist the knife. Their daughter Sophia was 7 now, and he'd missed more recitals, birthdays and parent-teacher conferences than he cared to count. But that was the price of building an empire. The Ashford Corporation didn't run itself. Sir. Gregory returned, his face pale. Elena's phone is going straight to voicemail. Marcus's patience snapped like a brittle twig. Then she's fired. Effective immediately. Have HR process her termination papers and arrange for security to collect her belongings. But sir, Elena has been with us for 8 years. Perhaps there's an explanation. I don't pay people to make excuses, Gregory. I pay them to do their jobs. If she can't manage to show up on time, then she doesn't deserve to work here. Marcus grabbed his suit jacket from the leather chair. Now get me those Tokyo numbers. I have an empire to run. What Marcus didn't know, what he couldn't possibly know, was that at that very moment, Elena Rivera was sitting in a cramped emergency room, holding the hand of an 8-year-old girl with his eyes. 3 hours earlier. Elena's alarm had gone off at 5:30 a.m., just like it did every morning. She'd learned long ago that working for Marcus Ashford meant operating on his schedule, his terms, his impossible standards. But she'd never complained. Not once in 8 years. Because she had a secret that made every demanding day worth it. Mama. A small voice called from the bedroom doorway. I don't feel good. Elena turned from the kitchen counter, where she'd been preparing her lunch, to see her daughter standing in her pajamas. Even in the dim morning light, she could see that something was wrong. Lily's normally rosy cheeks were pale, and she was clutching her stomach. What's wrong, mi amor? Elena rushed over, pressing her hand to Lily's forehead. Hot. Too hot. My tummy hurts really bad, Lily whimpered. And I feel dizzy. Elena's heart began to race. Lily was never sick. In 8 years, her daughter had barely caught a cold. Okay, baby. Let's get you back to bed. I'll take your temperature. But as Elena guided Lily back to the bedroom, her daughter suddenly doubled over with a cry of pain. Mama, it hurts. It really hurts. That's when Elena saw it, the way Lily was holding her lower right side, the beads of sweat on her forehead despite the cool morning air. She'd seen these symptoms before years ago, when her younger brother had been rushed to the hospital. Appendicitis. We need to go to the hospital. Right now. Elena grabbed her phone and keys with shaking hands, not even thinking about calling the Ashford estate. Her daughter's life was more important than any job. Even one she desperately needed. The emergency room was chaos. A Saturday morning meant car accidents, sports injuries, and a waiting room full of people who'd been there for hours. Elena held Lily close, watching her daughter's face grow paler by the minute. Please, Elena begged the triage nurse. She's getting worse. She needs to see a doctor now. Ma'am, I understand, but there are people ahead of you. We'll call you as soon as. Lily screamed. A sound so full of agony that every head in the waiting room turned. Her small body went rigid in Elena's arms, and then she went completely limp. Help! Somebody help us! Elena's voice broke as nurses came running. Everything after that was a blur. Rushing through corridors. Doctors shouting medical terms she didn't understand. Consent forms she signed with trembling hands. And then the worst words any mother could hear, We need to take her into emergency surgery. Her appendix has ruptured. Elena stood in the surgical waiting area, her phone clutched in her hand.
She should call work. She should explain.
But her fingers wouldn't move. All she could think about was Lily's pale face, her small body on that gurney, and the terrible secret she'd kept for 8 long years. Lily wasn't just her daughter. She was Marcus Ashford's daughter too. Back at the Ashford estate, Marcus was in the middle of his conference call when his housekeeper, Mrs. Chun, knocked urgently on his study door. He muted the call, irritation flashing across his face. This better be important. Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's about Elena. Mrs. Chun twisted her hands nervously. I just spoke with her neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez. Elena's daughter was rushed to the emergency room this morning. That's why she didn't come to work. Marcus felt a flicker of something, concern? Guilt? But quickly pushed it aside. Elena has a daughter?
Yes, sir. Lily.
She's 8 years old. Mrs. Rodriguez said it looked serious. Something about her appendix. 8 years old. The number lodged in Marcus's brain like a splinter. Elena had been working for him for 8 years. Which meant, does Elena have a husband?
A partner.
He tried to keep his voice neutral, professional.
Mrs. Chun shook her head. No, sir.
She's raised Lily alone since birth. I've seen pictures, beautiful little girl. Dark hair, bright eyes. She paused, and something in her expression made Marcus uncomfortable. Actually, sir, she looks quite a bit like your Sophia. Marcus's blood ran cold. That's just a coincidence. Lots of children look similar. But even as he said it, his mind was racing back through the years. 8 years ago.
Before Vivian.
Before his marriage and messy divorce. There had been someone else. Someone he'd tried very hard to forget. A young woman named Elena who'd worked in his father's house. The gardener's daughter. Beautiful, kind, and completely inappropriate for the heir to the Ashford fortune. His father had made that very clear. They'd spent one summer together. Secret meetings in the garden house. Whispered promises under the stars. And then his father had found out. There had been a terrible confrontation. Elena had disappeared overnight, and Marcus's father had told him she'd been paid off and sent away. Marcus had been young and stupid. He'd believed it. He'd moved on. He'd convinced himself it had just been a summer fling. But what if... Sir. Mrs. Chen's voice broke through his spiraling thoughts.
Are you all right? You look pale.
I'm fine. Marcus stood abruptly, nearly knocking over his chair. Cancel my afternoon appointments. All of them. But sir, you have. I said cancel them. His voice came out harsher than intended. He took a breath, trying to steady himself. I need to handle something personal. As Mrs. Chun hurried away, Marcus grabbed his phone and pulled up Elena's employee file. There was an emergency contact number listed. He dialed it with shaking hands. It rang 4 times before a tired, frightened voice answered. Hello. Elena. It's Marcus Ashford. Silence on the other end. Mrs. Chun told me about your daughter. I'm sorry I fired you this morning. I didn't know. It doesn't matter. Elena's voice was hollow, exhausted. Nothing matters except Lily right now. Is she going to be okay? They're operating. Her appendix ruptured. The doctor said if I'd waited even another hour. Her voice broke. I almost lost her because I was worried about getting to work on time. What kind of mother does that make me? Marcus felt guilt twist in his stomach. You're not a bad mother, Elena. You were trying to do your job. I'm the one who. I should have been more understanding. Another long silence. Then, why are you calling, Marcus? To ease your conscience. I'm calling because... He took a deep breath, barely able to believe what he was about to ask. Elena, how old did you say Lily is? The silence that followed was deafening. 8, Elena finally whispered. She just turned 8 last month. Marcus closed his eyes. And her father? Why are you asking me this? Elena's voice rose, tinged with panic. After 8 years of working in your house, watching you with your daughter, attending to your family, you suddenly want to know about mine? Because I need to know the truth. His voice was barely audible. Is she? Elena, is Lily my daughter? The sound of Elena's sharp intake of breath told him everything he needed to know, even before she spoke. You don't get to ask me that, she said, her voice shaking with emotion. You don't get to waltz back into our lives after 8 years and... Just tell me the truth.
Please.
Elena was quiet for so long that Marcus thought she might have hung up. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, yes.
Lily is your daughter.
I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after your father sent me away. I tried to call you, Marcus.
God, I tried so many times.
But your father. He made it very clear what would happen if I ever contacted you again. Marcus felt the room spin around him.
He had a daughter. Another daughter.
One he'd never known about. One who was currently in surgery, fighting for her life.
What hospital?
His voice came out strangled. St. Mary's Medical Center. But Marcus, you can't. I'm on my way. He hung up before she could protest, already grabbing his keys. As he rushed out of his study, he nearly collided with Gregory.
Sir? The Tokyo call. Handle it.
Marcus didn't slow down. I have to go.
But sir, where?
To meet my daughter. The words echoed through the marble halls of the Ashford estate, shocking everyone within earshot. Marcus didn't care. He'd wasted 8 years. He wasn't going to waste another second. As his Ferrari roared down the driveway, Marcus's mind raced faster than his car. How could his father have done this? How could he have sent Elena away without telling him she was pregnant? And how could Marcus have been so blind, so self-absorbed, that he'd never questioned what happened to her? He thought of Sophia, his 7-year-old daughter with Vivian. The child he barely knew because he was always too busy, always too focused on work. And now there was Lily, 8 years old with his blood running through her veins, fighting for her life in an operating room. A girl he'd never met. A girl he'd fired his own employee for being late to save. The guilt was crushing. St. Mary's Medical Center, 2:15 p.m. Elena sat in the surgical waiting room, her hands clasped so tightly that her knuckles had turned white. It had been 4 hours. 4 hours of staring at the same beige walls, the same clock ticking away seconds that felt like eternities. Other families came and went. Happy reunions, tearful goodbyes, whispered conversations. Elena sat alone, too terrified to move, too exhausted to cry anymore. She should have known this day would come eventually. In a city as small as theirs, with Lily growing to look more like Marcus every year, someone was bound to notice. Someone was bound to say something.
But she'd hoped for more time. Time to prepare.
Time to figure out how to tell Lily that the father she'd always wondered about was the same man whose house Elena cleaned, whose daughter's bedroom she dusted, whose life moved on perfectly without them. The sound of rapid footsteps made her look up. Marcus Ashford burst through the waiting room doors, his expensive suit rumpled, his normally perfect hair disheveled. His eyes scanned the room frantically until they landed on her.
Elena.
He crossed the room in 3 long strides.
Any news? She shook her head, not trusting her voice.
Marcus sat down beside her, and for a moment, they were just 2 terrified parents waiting for news about their child. The billionaire and the maid. The CEO and the woman who cleaned his house. None of that mattered in this sterile waiting room where life and death hung in the balance. Tell me about her, Marcus said softly. Tell me about Lily.
Elena wiped her eyes.
She's everything.
Smart, funny, kind.
She loves to draw. She's always sketching in this little notebook I bought her. She wants to be an artist when she grows up. A sad smile crossed her face. She has your stubborn streak. When she wants something, she doesn't give up until she gets it. Does she know about me? She knows her father is someone I used to work for. Someone from a different world. She's asked questions over the years, but I never.
Elena's voice broke. I never told her who you were.
I thought it would be easier for everyone if she didn't know. If you didn't know. My father, Marcus said, his voice hard.
He sent you away. Paid you off.
$20,000, Elena confirmed. He said it was enough to disappear.
And never come back.
Said if I ever contacted you, he'd make sure I'd never work anywhere again. I was 19 years old, pregnant, and terrified. So I took the money, moved across town, and started over. Marcus's hands clenched into fists.
He's dead now.
5 years ago.
Heart attack. I know.
I saw it in the papers. If I had known, Marcus started, but Elena cut him off. Would it have mattered? You were engaged to Vivian 2 months after I left. You married her, had Sophia. Built your perfect life. There was no accusation in her voice, just exhausted resignation. I watched from a distance, Marcus. When I came to work for you 8 years ago, you didn't even recognize me. The truth of that statement hit Marcus like a physical blow. She'd been cleaning his house, caring for his family, invisible to him for 8 years while raising his daughter alone.
I'm sorry, he whispered.
God, Elena, I'm so sorry. Before Elena could respond, a doctor in surgical scrubs pushed through the doors. Family of Lily Rivera?
They both jumped to their feet.
The doctor looked between them, noting their obvious class difference but keeping his expression neutral. The surgery went well. We removed the ruptured appendix and cleaned the infection. She's going to need to stay in the hospital for at least a week, and recovery will take time, but...
He smiled.
She's going to be just fine. Elena's legs gave out. Marcus caught her, and for a moment, she let herself lean on him as relief washed over her in waves.
Can we see her? Marcus asked.
She's in recovery now. Once she's moved to a room, you can both go in. But she'll be groggy from the anesthesia. The doctor's gaze lingered on Marcus. Are you the father? Marcus looked at Elena.
She nodded slowly.
Yes, Marcus said, his voice steady. I'm her father. The words felt foreign on his tongue, but also strangely right. The hospital room was small and sterile, filled with a steady beep of monitors and the antiseptic smell that clung to every surface. Marcus stood frozen in the doorway, his hand gripping the frame so tightly his knuckles had turned white. In the bed, barely visible under the white sheets and medical equipment, was a little girl with dark hair spread across the pillow.
His daughter. His Lily.
Elena moved past him with the practiced ease of a mother who'd spent countless nights at bedsides, checking foreheads and adjusting blankets. She pulled a chair close to Lily's bed and took her small hand gently, careful not to disturb the foreline. She looks so small, Marcus whispered, finally finding his voice. She's always been petite for her age, Elena said softly, brushing a strand of hair from Lily's peaceful face. The doctors say she's healthy, just delicate. Like a little bird. Marcus took a tentative step into the room, then another, until he stood at the foot of the bed. From this angle, he could see her face more clearly.
Elena was right, Lily did look like Sophia.
The same determined chin, the same long lashes, the same shape to her nose. But there was something of Elena there too, the softness around her eyes, the gentle curve of her mouth.
Can I?
Marcus gestured to the empty chair on the other side of the bed. Elena nodded, and he sat down carefully, as if any sudden movement might shatter this fragile moment. They sat in silence for nearly 20 minutes, watching Lily sleep. The steady rhythm of her breathing, the slight rise and fall of her chest, each breath felt like a miracle to Marcus. This morning, he'd been furious about a late employee. Now, he was watching his secret daughter fight her way back from emergency surgery. How had his life changed so completely in just a few hours? She's going to have questions, Elena said quietly, breaking the silence.
When she wakes up.
She's a smart girl, Marcus. She'll want to know who you are. What do you want me to tell her? Elena's eyes filled with tears.
The truth.
I'm tired of lying. Tired of pretending. She deserves to know who her father is. She paused, her voice dropping to barely a whisper. But Marcus, if you're going to be in her life, you have to really be in it. Not just today because you feel guilty. Not just for a few weeks until the novelty wears off. Lily has been through enough. I won't let her get attached to you only to have you disappear when your real life calls you back.
My real life.
Marcus felt anger flare.
Elena, she is my real life. She's my daughter.
I've missed 8 years, I don't intend to miss any more. You say that now. But what happens when Vivian finds out? When your board of directors discovers you have an illegitimate child with the woman who cleans your house? What happens when keeping us in your life becomes inconvenient? Marcus opened his mouth to argue, but the words died in his throat.
Because.
Deep down, he knew Elena had every right to doubt him. He'd proven over and over with Sophia that work came first, that his empire mattered more than his family. Why should Elena believe he'd be any different with Lily? Before he could respond, a small voice interrupted them.
Mama.
They both turned sharply. Lily's eyes were open, deep brown eyes that Marcus recognized from his own mirror, blinking slowly against the harsh hospital lights. I'm here, mi amor. Elena leaned forward, her voice filled with relief and love.
How do you feel? Tired, Lily mumbled, her voice hoarse. My tummy hurts.
I know, baby. But the doctors fixed it. You're going to be okay. Elena pressed a kiss to Lily's forehead, and Marcus felt his heart constrict at the tenderness of the gesture. Lily's gaze drifted past Elena and landed on Marcus. Her eyes widened slightly, confusion crossing her young face.
Who's that?
Elena took a deep breath, and Marcus could see her hands shaking. Lily, sweetheart, this is someone very important. Someone I should have introduced you to a long time ago. Are you another doctor? Lily asked Marcus directly, her voice small but curious. Marcus felt his throat close up. How did you tell a child you were her father? Especially a child who'd grown up without you, who didn't even know you existed.
No, he managed to say. I'm not a doctor.
He looked at Elena helplessly. Elena squeezed Lily's hand gently. Lily, do you remember how you've always asked me about your daddy? About why you didn't have one like the other kids at school? Lily nodded slowly, her eyes still fixed on Marcus with an intensity that made him feel transparent.
Well, Elena's voice trembled, this is him. This is your father.
Marcus Ashford. The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus watched as a dozen different emotions flickered across Lily's face. Confusion, disbelief, hope, fear, anger. She was 8 years old, but in that moment, she looked ancient.
My daddy.
Lily's voice was so small Marcus barely heard it. But Mama said my daddy was far away. That he didn't know about me.
I didn't know, Marcus said quickly, leaning forward.
Lily, I swear to you, I didn't know you existed until today.
If I had known, his voice broke.
If I had known, I would have been there. For every birthday, every scraped knee, every bedtime story. I would have been there. Lily stared at him for a long moment, and Marcus could see the sharp intelligence in her eyes.
His intelligence.
Then why didn't you know? Why didn't Mama tell you? The question was simple but devastating. Elena closed her eyes, and Marcus could see the weight of 8 years of guilt pressing down on her.
That's complicated, sweetheart, Elena said.
Adult things that happened a long time ago. Things that were my decision, not your father's. If you want to be angry at someone, be angry at me.
I'm not angry at you, Mama.
Lily's hand found Elena's. You're the best mama in the world. You take care of me all by yourself.
You work so hard.
She turned back to Marcus, and there was something guarded in her expression now. But why are you here now? Just because I got sick. The question cut through Marcus like a knife. This little girl, his little girl, already understood that people disappeared, that love was conditional, that abandonment was a real possibility.
What had he done?
I'm here because the moment I found out about you, nothing else mattered, Marcus said, his voice raw with emotion. Lily, I know I can't make up for the 8 years I missed. I know I can't just walk in here and expect you to call me Dad and forgive me for not being there. But I'm asking, no, I'm begging, for a chance to be your father now. Starting today. Lily studied him with those two knowing eyes. Do you have other kids?
Marcus nodded. I have a daughter. Sophia.
She's 7, a year younger than you. Does she live with you?
No.
She lives with her mother, my ex-wife.
But
I see her sometimes.
Sometimes.
Lily picked up on the word immediately. Don't you want to see her all the time? The question was innocent, but it struck at the core of Marcus's deepest shame.
I do.
But I'm very busy with work and... So you'll be too busy for me too. It wasn't a question. Lily's face had gone carefully blank, and Marcus recognized the expression. It was the same one he wore in board meetings when he was hiding disappointment.
No, Marcus said firmly. No, Lily. You and Sophia.
I'm going to do better. I promise you, I'm going to do better. Promises are easy, Lily said quietly, and Marcus wondered what 8-year-old had already learned that lesson. My friend Jessica's dad promised to take her to the zoo.
He never did.
He was always too busy. Elena's face crumpled, and Marcus realized that Lily had been watching other children with their fathers for years, building expectations and defenses based on those observations. You're right, Marcus said, making a decision. Promises are easy.
So I
won't make you promises. I'll make you a deal instead. A real deal, like the ones I make in business. Those I never break. Lily's eyebrows rose slightly. What kind of deal? Every single day, starting today, I'm going to show up. Maybe just for 5 minutes at first, because you're recovering and I don't want to tire you out.
But I'll be here. Every day.
And once you're out of the hospital, we'll figure out a schedule that works for you and your mama. Days that are just ours. And if I ever break that deal, you get to fire me.
Fire you?
A tiny smile tugged at Lily's lips. Like a job. Exactly like a job. Being your father is the most important job I'll ever have. And if I'm not doing it right, you have every right to fire me. Lily considered this seriously. Then she looked at Elena.
Mama?
What do you think? Elena wiped her eyes, trying to compose herself. I think your father is trying very hard to make things right. And I think we should give him a chance. Lily was quiet for another long moment. Then she turned back to Marcus and held out her small hand, the one without the 4.
Okay. Deal.
But I'm going to be watching you. Marcus took her hand carefully, overwhelmed by how small it felt in his. I wouldn't expect anything less. You're an Ashford, after all. We're known for being tough negotiators.
An Ashford.
Lily tested the name on her tongue. My last name is Rivera.
Like Mama's.
The statement hung in the air, another reminder of all the years Marcus had missed, all the decisions that had been made without him. Maybe someday, if you want, that could change, Marcus said carefully. But only if you want it to. Rivera is a beautiful name. Lily nodded, her eyelids already starting to droop. The medication and exhaustion were catching up with her. I'm really tired now. Then sleep me more, Elena said, brushing Lily's hair back. We'll both be here when you wake up.
Both.
Lily's eyes opened slightly.
Promise.
I promise, Marcus said before Elena could respond. I'm not going anywhere. Within minutes, Lily had drifted back to sleep, her small hand still loosely holding Marcus's. Elena watched as Marcus sat perfectly still, afraid to move and disturb Lily's grip. The powerful billionaire who commanded boardrooms and built empires was terrified of waking an 8-year-old girl.
She believed you, Elena said softly. About staying. I meant it.
Marcus's eyes never left Lily's face. I know you don't believe me yet. But I meant every word. Marcus, do you understand what you're committing to? This isn't like Sophia, where Vivian handles everything and you show up for the occasional dinner. Lily and we're a package deal. And we come with complications you can't imagine. What kind of complications? Elena laughed bitterly. For starters, I clean houses for a living. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in the poor part of town. Lily goes to public school. We shop at thrift stores and eat generic brand cereal. Your world and our world. They're not compatible, Marcus.
Then I'll adapt.
Will you? Elena's voice rose slightly, 8 years of frustration bubbling to the surface.
Will you really?
Because I've watched you for the past 8 years, Marcus. I've seen how you live. The parties, the expensive cars, the women. I've changed the sheets after your dates. I've cleaned up after your dinner parties where you spend more on wine than I make in a month. You think you can just slide into our life?
Into Lily's life.
I don't think it will be easy, Marcus said, finally looking at her. But Elena, I have to try.
She's my daughter. My blood.
My responsibility. She's been your responsibility for 8 years. Where were you then?
I didn't know.
Marcus's voice rose, and Lily stirred slightly. He took a breath, lowering his voice.
I didn't know, Elena.
And yes, I should have looked for you. I should have questioned what my father told me. I should have done 1,000 things differently. But I can't change the past. All I can do is be here now.
And what about Vivian? What about Sophia?
What will you tell them? Marcus ran his free hand through his hair, looking suddenly exhausted.
The truth.
Sophia deserves to know she has a sister.
And Vivian.
Vivian will use this against me in every way she can.
But I don't care. Let her.
Let the whole world know. I'm done hiding. The whole world. Elena's eyes widened. Marcus, think about what you're saying. The media will have a field day with this. Billionaire's secret love child with the maid.
It will be everywhere.
Lily will be hounded by reporters. Her life will never be normal again. Her life isn't normal now.
Marcus shot back.
She's being raised by a single mother who works herself to exhaustion. You're worried about keeping your job, worried about making rent, worried about. Don't you dare make this about money.
Elena
stood up abruptly, her voice shaking with fury.
Yes, we struggle. Yes, it's hard. But Lily is happy. She's loved.
She has friends and a good school and a life that doesn't involve paparazzi and society pages and people judging her every move. You want to give her your name?
Your world? Fine.
But don't pretend you're doing her a favor. Don't pretend that your money makes you a better parent than me. The words echoed in the small hospital room. In the bed, Lily shifted restlessly, and both adults immediately froze, watching to see if she'd wake.
She didn't.
Marcus stood slowly, careful not to disturb Lily's hand.
You're right, he said quietly. I'm sorry.
That was out of line. You've done an incredible job raising her, Elena.
Anyone can see that.
She's smart, kind, brave.
That's all you.
Elena's anger deflated slightly. She is brave, isn't she? Even when she was in so much pain this morning, she kept trying to comfort me.
Kept saying it's okay, Mama. I'm okay. Her voice broke.
I thought I was going to lose her. Without thinking, Marcus pulled Elena into his arms. She stiffened at first, then gradually relaxed, letting herself lean against him as the stress and fear of the day caught up with her. You didn't lose her, Marcus whispered into her hair.
She's going to be fine.
We're all going to be fine. How can you be so sure?
Because we don't have a choice.
That little girl in that bed deserves the best from both of us. So we're going to figure this out. Together. Elena pulled back slightly, looking up at him. For a moment, Marcus saw the young woman he'd fallen in love with 9 years ago. The gardener's daughter with dirt under her nails and dreams in her eyes. The girl he'd promised to love forever during one perfect summer. What happened to us, Marcus? Elena asked softly.
We were so happy once.
How did we end up here?
My father happened. My ambition happened.
My cowardice happened. Marcus touched her face gently.
I let you go, Elena. That's the truth.
When you disappeared, I told myself it was for the best. That we were too different, that it would never work. I convinced myself you'd taken the money and moved on. It was easier than fighting for you.
And now?
Now I know what I lost. Not just you, but 8 years with our daughter. I won't make that mistake again. Before Elena could respond, the door to the room opened, and a nurse entered with a bright smile. Sorry to interrupt, but I need to check on our patient. Are you both family? Yes, they said simultaneously, then looked at each other in surprise. The nurse's smile widened as she moved to check Lily's vitals. That's wonderful. She's going to need both of you during recovery. Appendectomies in children can be tough, but having supportive parents makes all the difference. As the nurse worked, humming softly, Marcus caught Elena's eye.
Supportive parents. Both of them. Together.
Maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. 3 days later. Marcus kept his promise. Every day, at exactly 2 p.m., he arrived at the hospital. Rain or shine, busy or not, he was there. The first day, he brought flowers, expensive roses that Elena had immediately recognized as costing more than her weekly grocery budget. Lily had loved them, but Elena had pulled Marcus aside and gently explained that maybe simpler gifts would be better. She doesn't need to be impressed. She just needs you. The second day, he brought coloring books and the most expensive art supplies money could buy. Lily had been thrilled, but overwhelmed. By the end of the visit, she'd quietly asked if they could color together, and Marcus had found himself sitting on the hospital bed, carefully staying within the lines of a princess picture, while Lily instructed him on which colors to use.
Not that blue, Daddy.
The lighter blue. Like the sky.
Daddy. She'd called him Daddy.
So casually, as if she'd been doing it her whole life. Marcus had nearly broken down right there. The third day, he'd brought nothing but himself. And somehow, that visit had been the best one yet. They talked, really talked. About Lily's favorite subjects in school, art and reading, her best friend, a girl named Maria who lived in her apartment building, and her dreams, to be an artist who painted murals on buildings. Marcus had listened, truly listened, in a way he couldn't remember ever listening to anyone before. Every detail felt precious, every smile from Lily felt like a gift. Tell me about Sophia, Lily had asked during that visit.
What's she like?
Marcus had pulled out his phone, showing Lily pictures of her half-sister.
She's funny. Really funny.
She does these impressions of people, including me, that are spot on. And she loves ballet. Will I get to meet her? Would you want to? Lily had nodded seriously. She's my sister. I've always wanted a sister. Then yes, Marcus had promised.
Soon.
But first, I need to explain everything to her and to her mother.
It's complicated.
Because of me? Lily had looked worried. Because I'm a secret?
No, baby.
Not because of you.
Because of me.
Because I made mistakes. But I'm going to fix them. Now, on the fourth day, Marcus arrived at the hospital to find Elena in the hallway outside Lily's room, pacing nervously.
What's wrong?
Is Lily okay?
She's fine. Better, actually.
The doctor says she can go home tomorrow.
Elena wrung her hands.
But Marcus, we need to talk.
About after. After.
After she's released.
About custody, visitation, finances. All of it.
We can't keep pretending this is simple.